Thanks for staying on. It's still Breakfast Live on GTV. What a Friday it is. We're already gearing up to catch all the fun and activities that we'll be doing over the weekend, whether it's the movies for you or theater. There's a lot to unpack. And before we head into that, we want to take you through some of the stories that are making the headlines. You should follow us on our social media platforms, GTV Ghana, everywhere. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we are on Facebook and also on TikTok. We have an agenda to get 1 million followers by December. And you can make that happen. If you pick your phone right now and follow our handles, you can take us everywhere with you, catch up on all the live programs that GTV has to offer throughout the day. Thank you for doing that. Our WhatsApp number is also very, very active, 055-556-1034. You can join all our conversations and we will read out your messages. This is the headline segment, and I'm sitting down with strong women at this table. Akosia Hansen, media personality and artistic activist, and also a culture curator. You probably remember her from her nighttime radio show on YFM. Hello, Akosia. How are you?
Awesome. How are you?
Welcome back to the table.
Thank you for having me.
It will be just me and you at the table today, and we'll hope that some of our women can join us virtually as well. Nacha Niope is a communications expert. We'll try and establish links with her. Now we know that you're a bit under the weather. Sorry about that. We wish you well. Let me quickly take you through some of the stories that are making the headlines in the papers today. The Finder is on the Seaboard protesting over unfair practices, and it's Dr. Ofori, the CEO of Seaboard, who is saying preferential treatment for boss threatens the economy. EcoBank doles out $120,000 support for malaria elimination in Ghana. Zipline, remember that company just turned 4 years old, is telling us they've made over 370,000 deliveries since 2019. Is a general manager who's given that information yesterday. GBC and some other media houses were given a tour of the facilities as the company marked its fourth year in existence and continuing to do a lot of deliveries with the Zipline technology, which helps with medical drone supplies. If you remember, public education should precede construction. Laws enforcement engineer Tipo Denya is the one who is speaking. The Daily Graphic newspaper talking about the spate of collapsed buildings. MMDA's must enforce land use laws. Spatial Planning Authority is speaking there. Efforts to grow economy focus on SMEs. Professor Bokpin to government at Graphic Business Access Bank SME Clinic. Constituency Watch, of course, it must be Asin North, where all the political trains are heading. And we are told it's a current beehive of political activity, as it should be. Remember, the Electoral Commission has announced that the by-election in that constituency will be coming on the 27th of June, and we're already told that the NDC's embattled MP, Mr. James Jechikwesin, is going to contest on the ticket of the NDC. More stories in the graphic. Seek advice if hypertension drugs make you sexually weak. It's a surgeon who's saying that a lot of complaints about hypertension drugs allegedly causing some sexual dysfunction, and the experts are saying seek advice if you have that problem. Dismissed Sunon Asogli workers saga is where the Ghanaian Times is deciding to go today, talking about how organized labor is threatening to demonstrate and giving a June 26th ultimatum for reinstatement of 3 union leaders. 6,700 Ghanaians die annually from tobacco-related illnesses, and the EC opens nominations for the Asin North by-elections, picks June 27th for election in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Those are some of the stories we will be looking at and more if we get the opportunity. But I'll get the thoughts of Akosia here at the table on her thoughts of the day. What's your rant of the day? I know that you're big on Africa and you're big on culture and you're big on our heritage. And I am guessing I may have an idea where you're going with this because I see a book near you.
Did you want to bet so that you win it anyway?
Oh yes, I'm betting it's about the ever gracious, ever graceful, such a huge wealth of human resource and culture and creativity and writing and everything, feminism,
power,
even at that time,
power, I
of
guess,
her youth.
Yes.
She
yes,
used it so
yes,
well. Amata
yes,
Edu went to be
yes,
with the Lord this week, and the
yes.
family announced the rather sad event that had occurred in her home, and she passed away very peacefully. And tributes have poured in from across the world in Africa and in Ghana. Talks about reliving some of her stories continue to be rife in people's minds. I could say.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. So, as you said, Prof. Amata Edu has transitioned, and we are. I mean, I'm an African feminist. I'm a Ghanaian woman. You know, I'm a writer. So for me, she was a part of my formation. Not part of. She was the crux of my formation. I always say that Auntie Ama was kind of my very first kind of feminist coming into consciousness in class 3 or class 2 thereabouts. That was the very first time I read Dilemma of a Ghost, you know, and in the character of Eulalie, for instance, in characters of strong-willed Anoa, later on reading Changes, you know, that was where for the very first time as a young girl I could see rich woman characters who were bent on pursuing freedom for them the way they defined it, you know, in spite of the punishment that society gave them, and them trying to fulfill their sole purpose, be who they really are in spite of this. And for me, that was so mind-blowing. So I mean, is it any wonder at all that Akosua Hansen today will sit here and call herself the African feminist she is? Because Prof. Amata Edu lived this life. I mean, she taught us. So because of her, I exist. So everything I am is because of her. So I mean, this is she's transitioned, but for us, it's a celebration. She's left a powerful, very, very powerful legacy. And if you don't mind, there's a chapter, a very short passage in Changes I wanted to share. On your social media corner, Jay actually shared just a little bit, and I wanted to share this. So Changes is about it's a great story. But to give you a premise, Essie got married to a man called Oko. She was in a monogamous, you know, marriage, and this man was, unfortunately, you know, he felt his masculinity was challenged by Essie's success. These are some of the problems that successful women, African women, deal with today. So his masculinity was challenged by her success. She works with government. Her job gives her her own bungalow, her own car, her freedom, and it takes her time, you know. And obviously, an African man at that time was trying to adjust to how to be with a woman like this. And in the second chapter of the book, he actually rapes his own wife, you know. And in a bit of, it started with a conversation of, my friends are laughing at me, you know. And these are real challenges that successful African, career-driven African women go through. And that's the powerful thing about of Prof. Amata Edu. She wrote the reality. So basically, Essie leaves, divorces her husband, and she's now going into a polygamous marriage where she's going to be the second wife of this man, right? So she speaks to her grandmother, and this is what her grandmother says. She's asking her grandmother's advice. She says, "My young lady, today you came here asking me a question. I shall try as hard as possible to give you an answer. I shall also try to make it my truth, not anybody else's. For in a world where lies are pampered like the only children and nephews of queens and kings, all we can do is to hold on to our own truths. It used to be possible to talk and know that you and everyone else knew what you were talking about. It has stopped being like that for some time. These days, we are getting used to people saying big things when they mean so little or nothing at all. They talk of pretty things when they intend ugly and carry dangerous deeds home that properly belong to the bush. My Lady Silk, remember, a man always gained in stature through any way he chose to associate with a woman. And that included adultery, especially adultery. Essie, a woman has always been diminished in her association with a man. A good woman was she who quickened the pace of her own destruction. To refuse, as a woman, to be destroyed